Welcome to this week's edition of the OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off. Now from Columbus, here is the OHSAA Radio Network's Marty Bannister.
800 schools across Ohio began basketball practice back in November. Now it's time for those schools to begin the tournament trail with the goal of reaching the Final Four and playing for a state championship. Hello again, everyone. This is Marty Bannister, and I welcome you to the first edition of the 2024 OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show. We'll spend the next 30 minutes setting the scene for high school basketball all across the state of Ohio. On this edition of the show, we'll sit down with OHSAA Executive Director Doug Ute, who also serves as the OHSAA's basketball administrator. And we'll get reports from broadcasters around Ohio to see which teams are entering the tournament with a target on their back. Let's step aside, though, first for a break for these messages from the Ohio High School Athletic Association. This is the OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show.
Ready?
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right.
Recover.
Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Chocolate milk, the official beverage of high school sports, is brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast.
The OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show is brought to you by the OHSAA Radio Network, which will broadcast every game from the girls and boys state basketball state tournaments in March. The girls state tournament is March 14th through the 16th, while the boys state tournament March 22nd through the 24th at the University of Dayton Arena. The girls sectional tournaments are now underway across Ohio, and the boys will begin their tournament trail next week. Statewide brackets for all 64 district tournaments for both the girls and the boys are posted on the basketball pages at OHSAA.org. Last week, we had a chance to sit down with OHSAA Executive Director Doug Ute at the OHSAA offices in Columbus and talk about the start of the tournament trail and other important items. Here's our chat with Doug Ute.
Winter sports tournament mode right now. It's an exciting time of the year, certainly in the OHSAA offices and really all around the state. Take us, Doug, through some of the things, though, that are going on right now to get ready for this important time and busy time of the year.
Yeah, I think it probably extends, after last year's season that we start planning for this year's winter sports, and by just doing a, just a little wrap up with our staff, our district boards, some of our district board members about, let's talk about basketball, how well basketball went last year, and so we work back, we start with the University of Dayton and then work our way back, and so a lot of preparation goes in with discussion with our district athletic boards on sites and how we're doing seating. As you know, in basketball this year, we're doing RPI, which started way back in the last year and a half ago, that discussion did. And so just a lot of preparation, we're doing now, preparation for next winter on some sites. And, we'd love to have basketball back at the fairgrounds in Columbus. And so, that's an example of what we're working on next year. And hopefully we make that happen. And so, just really right now it's just confirming a lot of details with our sites, our district level sites, our regional level sites, and of course, University of Dayton.
Being an old Fairgrounds Coliseum guy myself, that would be fantastic if you get basketball back in that building. Where's the effort on that right now, and where do things stand with that?
Well, there's a wish on our end to put basketball back in there at the Central District Athletic Board as well. And there's a huge wish on their end to put it in. And of course, you have to secure a new floor, baskets, those type of things. And I think if that can be done, not to put it all on them, if that can be done, then I think we'll make it happen.
Another big thing that's been talked about a lot lately, and you've been going around the state to try to get the feedback and let everyone know where things stand with this right now, is the potential expansion of divisions in the OHSAA. We'll take it through a couple of sides of this right now, but first of all, initially, what's been the feedback you've been getting when you talk to school administrators, ADs, and coaches about this possibility?
I think the majority of folks, no, I don't think that, the majority of folks who provide feedback to us are all in support of it. And whether you're a small school, you can be the smallest school in Ohio, it affects you because moving from 4 to 7 would reduce, every division on the amount of teams. Right now, in our 4 division, we have about 180 teams, Marty, that enter our tournament for each division. And if you look in the country, that's extremely high in terms of what other states, how many teams enter their division tournaments. And so even divided into 7, we would still be on the high end at about 130. in divisions 3 through 7 from that standpoint. But it really comes down to this. We have to do what's right for the kids. And the easy thing is just sit back and do 4, and then we're still going to have that disparity of 356 kids in a high school playing against a team that has 1,200 kids. And, I always say this, we have to put our kids in a tournament that school would play in that league. And leagues have changed around Ohio quite a bit. And when you think about a school, not to pick at anybody, but Western Brown and Southwest District, one of the smaller Division I schools we have, they're not in a league with Mason and Lakota West and Princeton and those guys, and there's a reason. They're not in that league because they don't get along with those schools. They're not in that league because they're going to put those student athletes and with that disparity that they have. And so all around Ohio, we see leagues change, and that's usually because we're the smallest school in here. We got to put our student athletes in with a similar situation. So right now, we're putting our kids who play in those situations in leagues, we turn around in a tournament and put them in a 356 to 1,200 disadvantage. And so that's been a 15-year conversation in our office. And to be honest with you, I didn't have my grandkids' pictures on my wall before that came up in the office 4 years ago. And so, we're just looking at, there's a lot of things that have to happen to transition into that, and a lot of changes that would occur. But, this is my philosophy. It was when I was an administrator at school. We're going to do what's right for the students, and it's our job to figure it out.
That's one of the great things you bring to this, to everything that you do here. You've been at every level. You've coached, you've played, you've been an AD, you've been a principal. So you have a feel for all of this, and it's not something as if you just went, you know what, let's try this.
Right.
It's a process.
And I bring this up too, Marty, that I've said around so our process has been working with our board for the last year on this. And so you have to remember, much like our schools, when you live in a community, I live in a community, we elect our school board members to represent us at the school board level. And our schools represent their peers to represent the district athletic boards and our state board. And so it's very similar that way. So we started working with our board with that a while back. And we presented online for anybody can join, and then really wanted to go out face to face and just, have folks talk around the state. But you're correct that, I feel like I always consider myself, I started out teaching coaching. I consider myself a coach 40 years later, nearly 40 years later. And so that all those levels I've been at has certainly helped again to really step back at times when you start thinking about so many things about this expansion. Mm-hmm. I think you have to pull yourself back in to say, why are we even talking about this? It's about kids. And if it's about kids, it's our jobs to make it happen.
Everybody right away points to basketball, but there are other sports that would be affected by this as well, too. Maybe take us down that road.
Yeah, so we looked at our competitive balance sports of soccer, volleyball, boys, girls basketball, baseball, softball, because football already has the 7 divisions. And by the way, football has 7 divisions and 80 to 90 schools less that participate in the tournament. And so we looked at those because they're very similar. Each sport's very similar. All but soccer have over 700 schools entering tournaments. Soccer has into 500s. And so all but soccer does that. And so soccer, we wouldn't look to go 7 divisions, we'd look to go 5, because anything over 500, we'd give them 5. 600, 6 division, and 700, 7 divisions. And so we looked at those, but we're also having conversations about some of our individual sports too. But our individual sports are unique. And so like track and field, we started those conversations with our coaches association. We've internal conversations about that. But really in our 28 sports, we have to, and it's my job in here, to make sure that we don't overload ourselves and to get involved in too much that we can't do any of it right. And so we're kind of tiering this in there. But our message to the individual sports is we're having that conversation as well.
As we wrap up our talk, Doug, one of the things that will certainly be affected by whatever change does come to this will be changes in the way your state tournaments are conducted. I know that's a part of it that a lot of people initially pull back from, but it's part of this, and I know it's something you're looking at very intently.
Yeah, Marty, I know you enjoy that weekend as much as I do. and thanks for all you do that weekend, because you're promoting high school kids and their teams and communities. So appreciate that. And I'm a traditionalist. I've been at every state tournament since 1977. I haven't seen every game. As a freshman in high school, our coach would bring 3 coaches from Clear Fork High School, bring carloads of kids down, drop us off in the morning, say, meet us here at night, and we're off and running. And so I still remember the Barberton-Linda McKinley matchup that year, which was awesome. And, my point being is I'm a traditionalist. I love that state tournament, that 3 days. But it's not about me. It's about kids. And so when you look at saying we can't take 7 divisions, we don't do it in football, and we don't do it in soccer right now. We play our state semifinals the week before in football and our state semifinals out around the state in soccer. And we'd have to use that model for all of our sports. And those discussions have happened with Wright State for volleyball, Dayton for basketball, for boys and girls basketball. And what's a state tournament look like? Well, it's going to look a lot different. When you would think about in basketball, we like that game 1, game 2, and the 2 shall meet, 2 days later. And there's a lot of talk about, man, because you see those. That would be the difference. And so we'd have to play those out around the state and redivide our bracket like we do in football. But I think, and I've addressed this question because this is one of the questions I get. I go around and say, how far are you going to water it now? And I always say, I answer it the same way every time. So you come out on that football field in Canton when we present the Division 6 and 7 championship trophy, and you look in the eyes of those kids who became state champions at Marion Local or Versailles, or I could name several schools. And you tell me that's watered down to those kids. They're state champions. And then as we drive around Ohio, I know you get around a lot. You come into towns. I love to see those big boards when you go in town saying state softball champs or state football champs. And at Marion Local, it says state 19 times. You go to Maria Stein, they got to keep putting a bigger sign up. Nowhere on that does it say, yeah, but there were 7 divisions. And so that community is state champions, and they embrace that. And so if we can make an opportunity for more kids to go through life being state champions, and I think that's great for us.
Doug, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Yep. Thanks, Marty. Appreciate it.
And again, we'd like to thank Doug Ute for his time, and we'll chat again with Doug later in the postseason. Now we'll allow our local stations to share a few messages from their local sponsors. When we come back, we'll hear from several broadcasters around Ohio with updates from their area. This is the OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show.
Here, 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 even here, never here. Phones down, it's the law. Fines start at $150. Here, 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 even here, never here. Phones down, it's the law. Fines start at $150.
Welcome back to this edition of the OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show. I'm your host, Marty Bannister. Now it's time to welcome in broadcasters from around the state to talk about the top teams in their area. We'll start first of all with a boys basketball report from Central Ohio. Here's Chris Solwecki from the OHSAA Radio Network.
It's here. It's finally here. High school basketball playoffs have arrived. Now, most of the top teams in Division IV in the Central District, we're talking Northside Christian out of Westerville, Shekinah Christian in Plain City, they're the top 2 seeds in Division IV. They don't play until March 2nd. So we're going to begin today in Division III, where Columbus Academy is the number 1 seed. The Vikings are 16-3 overall, 9-2 in the Central Buckeye Conference, which actually made them runners-up to Worthington Christian. Columbus Academy opens their playoff run against West Jefferson, the number 21 seed. The winner of that matchup will face Howard East Knox in a round 2 tilt. In Division II, Columbus Bishop Hartley is the number 1 seed. The Hartley Hawks are 15-3 on the season, 3-1 in the Central Catholic League. Their 3 losses are by an average of 4 points. Their 15 wins were by an average of 14.8 points. They begin their march toward a championship against number 21, Columbus East. And in Division 1, we begin with the number 1 seed playing in Central number 2, Olentangy Orange, the Pioneers, 19-1 overall, 9-0 in the Ohio Capital Conference Central Division. Their only blemish was by 3 points to Pickerington Central. Their first round matchup is against Columbus Whetstone. And Delaware Hayes, the number 2 seed playing in Central 3. The Pacers are 19-1 overall, 9-1 in the OCC Capital Division. They haven't lost yet in 2024. They're sitting on a 13-game winning streak. Hayes opens up their playoff run against the Logan Chieftains. For the OHSAA Playoff Preview Show, I'm Chris Solecki.
Chris, thank you very much. Let's stay in the Central District. Now on the girls' side, here's Angie Sater from Ohio Prep Girls and Girls Only Hoops.
I'm Angie Sater from Prep Girls Hoops, here to give you a quick preview of some of the top teams in Central Ohio to be looking out for. In D1, we've got Pick Central, Olentangy, Marysville, and Olentangy Liberty. In D2, we have Granville, Buckeye Valley, Centennial, and Bloom Carroll. In D3, we have Mechanicsburg, Afrocitric, Amanda Clear Creek, and Marion Pleasant. And in D4, we have Newark Catholic, Fisher Catholic, Madison Christian, and Columbus Wellington School. Guys, hold on tight because there's a lot of kids to kind of think of, and this is we're just scratching the surface here, okay? So here we go. You've got Barry Wallace, Whitney Stafford, freshman sensation, Sydney Mobley. You got Eberhart, Tweed, the Price sisters. You've got Gigi Bauer. That's just a few from D1. In D2, we've got Ella Hazelrig, Kayla Houston, Emily Bratton, and we've got Moore and Harper out of Granville. In D3, we've got Olivia Skillings. We've got Cam Grant, Natalia Nelson, Taylor Evans. We got Ava Steele and Mary Emerson. And in D4, we've got Sophie, and we've got Kaiser and Gibson out of Newark Catholic. We've got Ellie Bruce, Kylie Ray, and we've got Odell Ware out of Wellington. Guys, there's so much talent in Central Ohio, and I cannot wait to see this all come together here in the next week.
Let's head to Eastern Ohio now. Here's Mike Breckenridge from Worcester's 104.5 WQKT.
Let's start with small school basketball in the Northeast. Girls on the Division III side, Chippewa, last year's state runner-up in D3. Chippewa is the 5th overall seed, and despite losing 3 players and their longtime coach resigning, they really haven't missed a beat. Katie Miller left Dalton to lead things at Chippewa, and they won the Wayne County Athletic League. Always competitive and could be primed for another deep run. If it's not Chippewa, it might be Waynedale. The Golden Bears made back-to-back state trips before Chippewa's run last year, and it means the Wayne County Athletic League has a chance to have a representative at state for the 4th straight year. In Division 4, nobody's made more state trips than the Highland Lady Hawks, 19 and counting, with 6 state titles, and Highland is a huge favorite to make the drive to Dayton once again. Top 3 players returned from last year's state semifinal team, including D4 Player of the Year candidate Ashley Mullett. On the boys' side of Division 3, Norwayne made the regionals 3 of the last 4 years. The Bobcats now move to Division 2. Unbeaten in the Wayne County Athletic League, they're seeded 3 overall and try to make another deep run. Also in Division 3 is Malvern. They come out of the East. They are going to be in the hunt once again. The Hornets have enjoyed great success through the years, but have never made a state tournament. Unbeaten at the tournament draw, the district's top seed. Maybe this is their year. And finally, much like the girls, the Highland boys are always a threat. Coming off last year's state semifinal appearance, which was Highland's 13th, they'll once again be heavy favorites coming out of the East District and Regional. Highlands made it to state 4 of the last 6 years. I'm Mike Breckenridge from WQKT in Worcester.
Now we head to the Western Ohio area and check in with the voice of the Bowling Green Falcons, Todd Walker, at Lima's 1150 WIMA.
It's great that we're about to get back on the tournament trail. And as far as the Lima area, West Central Ohio, for the girls, Ottawa Glandorf has been setting the standard for the last decade or so. And they are the top seed in the Division III Elida District. They've not been to state since 2021, but that was a run of 5 regional titles in 6 years. OG will try to get back there this year as the top seed in the Elida District. Another powerhouse in our area in Division 4 is Crestview. They're the number 1 seed in the D4 Defiance District. They've been rated in the top 5 all year in Division 4. So those are 2 teams to watch out for from our area. On the boys' side, some more candidates as far as making a deep tournament run, and that includes Ottawa-Glandorf again in Division 3. They're the number 1 seed in the Lima Senior District. They've been rated second in the state most of the year in Division 3, and of course they've been to the state tournament in Division 3 the last 3 years, including runner-up finishes the last 2 years. Can they finally break through with future Buckeye Colin White? We shall see. Last year in Division 4, Crestview made it from the Lima area to state. This year, LCC and Delphos St. John's look to be the teams to watch. They're the number 1 seeds for their districts. The T-Birds are the number 1 seed for the Wapakoneta district, and Delphos St. John's the number 1 seed in the Elida district. T-Birds have been rated in the top 5 all year long. St. John's has been in the poll of late as they've won 10 straight, including beating LCC and Pandora Gilboa and Spencerville and Dayton Dunbar. They are on quite a roll on a 10-game winning streak entering this final week of the regular season. So those are the big prospects for a deep tournament run from the Lima area. Reporting for the OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show, this is Todd Walker with 1150 WIMA.
We move on now to the southeast portion of the state, and from Marietta's 1490 WMOA, here's Aaron Cassidy.
Thanks, Marty. We'll start on the ladies' side of things. In Division 2 for the Southeast District, it is Fairland. They're the number 2 team in the state of Ohio, the number 1 team in this district, coming off a Final Four appearance, only 1 loss on the season. A lot of people look for them to make a trip back to Dayton for Division 3 in the Southeast District. Portsmouth, the only team, by the way, to beat Fairland this season. They finished at the number 7 spot in the final AP poll in Division 3 for the ladies, but they're the number 1 seed in the district. They are followed by Peebles, the number 2 seed in that district in Division 3. Finally, in Division 4, the number 7 team in the state of Ohio in the final AP poll, it is the Waterford Wildcats as the number 1 seed in the Southeast District. And number 2 is Portsmouth Notre Dame, a name synonymous around girls basketball in Division 4 in the southeast part of the state. And there is one team in the southeast part of the state that snuck in the east side, one of the east regions. That is the Fort Fry Cadets. They will be the number 1 seed in one of those east regions, and they are looking to make some noise as they have the last few years as well. As we turn to the boys' side of things, in Division 2, the Marietta Tigers in the Southeast District, and they are the number 1 seed. Warren Warriors, they're the number 2 seed. Those 2 teams, they hooked up in the regular season, split the series 1-1. They could be on a collision course for the convo at Ohio University in a district final. In Division 3, Wheelersburg number 1, Minford number 2, North Adams number 3. All 3 of those teams get a first round bye. And then in Division 4, for the boys in the Southeast District, South Webster number 1, Fairland, they're number 2, and Federal Hocking rounds out the top 3 as they're the number 3 seed. Reporting for the OHSAA Radio Network and WMOA for the southeast part of the state, I'm Aaron Cassidy.
And we wrap things up this week in Northeast Ohio. Here's David Kinder from WKYC TV in Cleveland.
I'm David Kinder with a look at the top seeds to come out of Northeast Ohio as we get ready for the boys and girls basketball tournaments to begin. On the boys' side, in Division 1, the top 3 seeds all coming from the greater Cleveland area. Cam Joyce and his St. Ignatius Wildcats get the 1 seed. The Wildcats looking for their first state title in boys hoops in 23 years. The 2 seed going to Brecksville Broadview Heights, the Bees with only 1 loss so far this year. And the 19-1 Garfield Heights Bulldogs get the 3 seed. In Division 2, Lutheran West takes the top spot in the Northeast District. The Longhorns looking to make it back-to-back years. They've gone to the state Final Four. In Division 3, it's the other side of town that's represented. Lutheran East getting the number 1 seed. The powerhouse Falcons have their eyes set on making it to the state Final Four for a 7th consecutive time. In Division 4, JFK Catholic is your top seed. Richmond Heights, who's gone to 4 straight Final Fours, is the 4 seed. On the girls' side, Archbishop Hoban is the number 1 seed in Division 1. The Knights looking for their first girls basketball state championship since 1988. Down in Division 2, the top 2 seeds coming from schools from the Akron area. Akron St. Vincent St. Mary gets the 1 seed, and the Copley Indians the 2 seed. The top seed in Division 3 is 19-2 Warrensville Heights, and from Division 4, the number 1 seed is the dynasty that is the Highland Hawks. With a look at the top boys and girls basketball teams here in Northeast Ohio, I'm David Kinder reporting for WKYC.
And we'd like to thank all those broadcasters for their reports this week. We're going to take one final break for these messages from the Ohio High School Athletic Association. And when we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of the OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show. We'll be right back.
At the Ohio High School Athletic Association, our student athletes are going pro at being
coachable,
a good student,
responsible,
dependable,
respectful. I'm going pro at being
a good student,
a good student,
a good teammate,
responsible.
I'm going pro at being
coachable,
a good student,
dependable,
a good teammate,
representing my school.
I'm going pro at being
a good student,
a good student,
responsible.
Let's go pro at respecting the game.
Respect 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 the game.
Tickets for the OHSAA girls and boys basketball state tournaments are now available at ohsaa.org/tickets. I would like to thank Doug Ute from the OHSAA and all the broadcasters who submitted regional reports for this week's show, along with all the OHSAA radio network affiliates. We will talk to you again next week on the Tournament Trail. On behalf of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, I'm Marty Bannister. Production and technical assistance provided by Adam Dell and Yamo Media. This has been the OHSAA Tournament Tip-Off Show, a production of the OHSAA Radio Network.